didn't have to send
I'm
you a
about to go
sequel.
live on YouTube, guys. 1 second. All right, you guys are good to go, and the meeting is yours whenever you'd like to start.
Okay, Bob.
Okay. I will call the meeting to order and ask Cindy if she would please have roll call.
Barbara Garbutt, Chairperson.
Present?
Jason Pernick, Vice Chairperson.
Present.
Betsy LaFond, Secretary.
Present.
Vanessa Magner, Township Board Trustee.
Present.
Barry Hiscox.
Aye.
Shane Lackner.
Present.
Judy Sternberg is absent.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Could we please have the approval of the agenda from someone?
I make a motion to approve the agenda. Shane?
Do we have
I
a second?
that. I second.
All in favor? Okay, Cindy.
Aye.
Okay.
Lackner.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Magner. Sorry.
Hiscox.
Aye.
Garbutt.
Aye.
Pernick.
Yes.
LaFond.
Aye.
Magner. And Sternberg is absent. Motion carried.
The approval of the minutes from the last meeting, seeing as Bessie was absent, I did go over those with Cindy, so I would like to move to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Do we have a second on
I
that?
second. Betsy
Okay.
seconds.
Okay, Cindy, there you go again.
Garbutt.
Yeah, aye.
LaFond.
Aye.
Pernick.
Yes.
Magner.
Aye.
Hiscox.
Aye.
Lackner.
Yes.
Sternberg is absent. Motion carried.
Do we have any public comments tonight that we know of, Allison?
There are no callers. Jacob, you don't see anybody, right?
Nope, no callers tonight.
Okay. Do we have any correspondence?
We did have one. We had an email from Dave Tolbert. He emailed regarding the drive up book returns. His concern was with safety. He was here over the New Year's holiday, and when the automated, so when it's a holiday, we turn off the automated book return and turn on the manual book return. The reason we do that is if the automated book return gets jammed, then no one can return things. But we know that the manual book return, even though we end up with a 3-foot tall pile of books on the floor, we know that it can continue to process the books while we're gone for for a couple of days. So his concern was when you open the book return, you need to use one hand and then you need to put the books in with your other hand. Thus, your hand, you don't have a hand on your steering wheel. And so he was concerned and asked maybe for some signage to have people put their car in a park when they do that, just to, avoid an accident. Which I think is fair. I think that's a good suggestion. I was actually thinking about some signage for that area anyway, in terms of the drive-up window. Sometimes people want to just get out of their car, go to their trunk, and put their books in. It's a little bit different in terms of drive-up window behavior that we're all kind of used to. So I was already sort of thinking that we needed some signage for the drive-up window. So I think that there is probably a possibility for us to do some combo signage there. So I will look into that. But if you guys have any suggestions or if you guys have thoughts on it.
Anyone?
Maybe just to put the car in park, if that's a safety, that would be the easiest.
Yeah. I mean, we can't force them to do it, but.
Anybody else?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll leave it up to you, Allison.
Okay, I'm on it.
I have a question. I wasn't there last month about the email, the advice to the library about not purchasing a particular young adult book. Was there any discussion on that, or was there a response to the patron?
No, I had already responded to the patron.
Oh, okay.
It was a book that patron had read. I think it was assigned to maybe her grandson at school, and she read it and didn't like it and didn't think that we should have it at the library. I looked into the book. It's not anything that's new. It was, from 2014 or 2015. And it was only owned by a handful of libraries. So that always surprises me when a school assigns a book that, if only a couple libraries in our system have it, it's generally not that popular anyway. So there's really, unless, a Walled Lake school is assigned to that book, there's really no compelling reason for us to purchase it anyway. We're typically not looking at items that aren't new anymore, unless it's for a replacement or if it's, to support a curriculum.
Right. I wasn't familiar with the book. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Allison, I seem to know that person, and her grandson, I believe, lives in another state.
That I didn't know. So, yeah.
I believe so. Unless I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Why don't you go ahead with the financial report then?
Okay. So the revenue and expenditure report that's in your packet covers through the period ending December 31st. So it's actually the end of the year, and it's the end of our fiscal year. So while there are still some bills coming in from the 2020 fiscal year, this is, pretty close to what it will be when everything shakes out. So if it stood as it is right now, our revenues exceeded our expenditures by $611,000. So in 2020, we budgeted to spend 1.85 million and spent 1.49 million. But other than that, everything is as expected. So, but if you guys have questions, I would happily answer them.
Anybody have any questions or any comments?
No.
Okay, then let's have the administrative reports.
So in the report that I put into your packet, I just wanted to acknowledge the Friends of the Library. They have been and continue to be super supportive of the library, and we really appreciate it. They dropped off some really beautiful cookies for us at the holidays for the staff, and they did budget to spend $2,500 for the adult department and $2,500 for the youth and teen department for programming in this coming fiscal year. So, normally the Friends, their income is almost entirely from the big book sales that they host twice a year. And now it's been over a year since they've been able to have a book sale. So we're really grateful that they're still able to support us. And, we feel really lucky that they love the library as much as they do. Towards the end of December, we had Maya Osha come into the library and do a walkthrough. So they were looking at workplace safety, and I included that the information from that walkthrough in the packet if you guys wanted to look at it. It's just, details all of the different things that they're looking for and what makes a safe workplace for staff people during COVID. So we passed that, and that was great. And it was, nice to have someone out to have another set of eyes out there. And in December, we had Mark in the maintenance department came out to do a couple of projects in the library. We got our walls painted from where we put a hole in it, the hole being the drive-up window. And they're helping install some, essentially it's chair railings in the study rooms and in our vending machine area where our drywall is constantly being damaged from chairs getting pushed up against the walls. So we have all the materials, they just need to come in and do it. So that'll be nice. And those areas will be all spruced up and painted and looking good for when people are able to use those areas of the library. We did reopen the library to the public on Tuesday, the 19th. The majority of our neighboring libraries also opened their buildings to the public that day. Wixom, Walled Lake, Novi, Northville, Lyon Township. I know that Milford is still closed, as is White Lake.
Yes.
So yeah, so libraries are, they're working with their boards and doing what they think is best for their communities. Our state aid report, which I know you guys are all familiar with, but Vanessa, but you're probably not. So annually we give the Library of Michigan a whole host of different statistics, the number of people who come into the building, the number of questions our librarians are answering, how many people have library cards, and the number of items in our collection, things like that. And they ask for that annually. And then as a result, we receive a state aid check. So it's a per capita check. And we just have to fill out a lengthy report every year. So that has been submitted. And lastly, Sign Graphics came to the library and replaced some signage. So we had signs that pointed people to the drop-off book return, but they didn't direct people to the drive-up window. So that has been added. You guys probably wouldn't even notice that it's there, but they look exactly the same. But the signs now have that additional information on it, which is good because we are definitely using that drive-up window heavily. It's very popular.
Okay. Anybody want to ask any questions about any of those things so far?
Allison, how's it going with the library being open? Are patrons coming in and the process is going smoothly?
The process is going really smoothly. People are coming in. It's not a stampede of people, which is good. People are kind of coming in. They're just, they're getting their stuff and they're going. Yeah, so it's been really nice to see all of the familiar faces, and it had been a while. Yeah, so it's working out well, and it's really probably it's a combo. There certainly are quite a few people who are still just want to do the drive-up window. So it's a good compromise.
Good.
Anything else on all your reports, Allison?
Yeah, we can look at the programming statistics next. We'll do that real quick. It's nothing. December is always one of the library's slower months in terms of programming. Although this year, I don't think people were as busy with holiday plans as they typically are. So the adult department did one Zoom program with a presenter, and then they did 8 other programs. So the weekly ESL class, and then a couple of take-home kits, and as well as book club. And the youth department is continuing to do the take-home kits that are so popular. The kids love them. And a Zoom program with a chef from Dearborn. She did a family program where they made cake pops, which I heard rave reviews about, although no one invited me to have one, which is disappointing. And I don't think I've mentioned to you guys that Shelby, our new teen services librarian who started in July, he has been doing Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons groups with the teens. He is doing a great job of building them up. They are doing those virtual right now, but he's excited to get those back in person when it's safe. It's a little bit different, especially since he, never had the chance to interact or to do this with these kids in person to kind of build it up that way. So one of these days we'll get those kids all and him all in the room, and they'll have a great time, I think. And then we can talk about the statistics. And
may I add something about the programming? The community read, which Commerce is part of, and the book is What the Eyes Don't See by Dr. Mona, the one who found out about the Flint water discussion. And yes, and they, it was Howell Library last night that Zoomed with a program talking about her. So if anybody gets a chance as part of that community read, there are books available free at the library. So drop by and pick one up. The book is very interesting.
Yeah, so that book was the selection for the Michigan read. So just to make things extra confusing, we have a community read that's just us and the neighboring libraries, and then this one's the whole state. But also a really good program. And I did hear last night's presentation, which was really well done. So as hard as it is to have these to be on Zoom all the time, there's a benefit for, to have a presenter where everyone in the whole state, if they have internet access, can, participate from their house. So, yeah. You went to that, Barb?
Yes, I did.
Awesome.
Very, very, what would I call her? Enthusiastic, and wow, she'll do anything for those
Right.
kids. I really admire her. So, okay, that's all I wanted to say.
No, thank you for sharing. I didn't realize you went. So in terms of the year-end statistics, I could have put together a chart comparing 2019 to 2020, but I think it would have made us really sad. I will do that in years going forward, but it was a pretty big drop. I just looked at the circulation from 2019 to 2020. So 2019 was 266,000, and in 2020, so the year that just ended in December, it was 168,000. So a big drop, but we were closed for a couple months. The good news is our downloadables did increase. So that grew by about 16,000 checkouts, which is pretty substantial. So yeah, that's the year-end statistics. The number of days that we were open, it was dramatically reduced. The daily average went from about 500 to about 250. So we have lots of room to grow in 2021 and get things back closer to what is normal to us. I don't think 2021 will be a normal. Well, we all know it's not going to be a normal year, but hopefully we can get closer to the normal that we know.
Okay, anybody have any questions on any of those things? Okay, do we have any old business? No. Okay, new business. I'd like to bring this up. The Byers Farm had a very large antique music box that's approximately 7 feet tall. And it's, I would say, being historic. I don't know how many years old that is. I don't know if you know, Vanessa, or you, Allison.
Barb, I don't know if you saw, but Emily is here too. Emily
good.
England is here.
All right.
To tell us about the Regina Music Box. And I'm sure Emily's got some background too. I don't know how old it is, but.
Well, Emily, why don't you go ahead and then we'll discuss it some more.
So the music box was acquired by the township when they acquired the Byers property. And at that point in time, it was valued at around $40,000. Since then, it's been stored in the farmhouse. And in 2018, the township removed it from the farmhouse because we were battling it getting mold and mildew on it. And it just wasn't a safe environment for an antique piece of wood. So it was removed, it was sent out, it's been restored, and it is currently being housed at the township and the treasurer's office. The Friends of Byers have asked if we could find some place that we could put it out so it's in the public eye. And obviously the thought of the library came to mind because you guys get a lot of flow through the library. We did discuss it at the Parks meeting on Monday night. And I know that there's some concern about protecting it. We obviously don't want it out so that anybody can touch it. Obviously, it's a library, so we don't want it so that anybody can just play it. Obviously, it's loud, but so that people can enjoy it. Maybe we put a little informational sign in front of it, give them the history of it. There's not a lot of them around that are in working condition. So the decision at Parks was to bring it to the library board to get your feedback. We all understood at that time that obviously the library seems like an obvious choice. Sometimes the obvious choice isn't the right choice. So we want your opinion. You're in the library daily. You know what your needs that your patrons are. You know potential issues. And you know if there's even a place that it would fit.
Somebody want to speak to that?
Yeah, what is a music box? What is it?
What I guess I don't understand. It
looks kind of like a really big grandfather clock, Barry, and it has like these giant records old
Okay,
timey
I
records that
understand.
you
It's
fixed
large.
it. Yeah,
All right.
it's probably 2 grandfather clocks, or it's
Yeah.
it's the height of a grandfather clock, but it's much wider.
I've
Yes.
never heard of it before. It must be quintessentially American, was it?
Gary, we'll have to we'll at least take you to see it if it doesn't end up in the library, so that
Yes.
you too know what this music box
I've
is.
heard of hurdy-gurdies and barrel organs, but I've not heard of that before.
Would there be a place to put it where no one could touch it? Because I assume you wouldn't want little hands on it.
Their talk was to even maybe have some kind of plexiglass case built to put it in to protect it from people touching it.
Do you know what it's
Yeah,
worth?
that would be my concern.
When we purchased the property, and Barb, you may know the date of when we acquired the buyer's property. It was valued at that point in time at between $40,000 and $45,000.
Wow.
It was a long, long time ago, but I can't tell you the specific
It'll be
year.
worth more than that now, yeah.
Well, I think regardless of the worth, we need to have a proper spot for it. And I
Yes.
can't recall a spot right now.
Exactly.
Well, that's-
I believe it would be best left to the librarian and the staff there to pick.
Because they know what can go where.
Yeah,
Place of honor.
and if it would be even a good place for it to be. I think it'd be a good place for it to be. I would leave the determination where it should go, if it could go, up to the library staff.
There you are, Alison.
I pretty much agree with you, Shane. I think the thing that bothers me the most is the children who often get away from their parents and they could be playing that thing. And I know a library is to be rather a quiet place and it's very loud. I also think if you think of a lot of people touching it, it will not be as in good shape as it is now. It worries me about where we would put it, that it would be safe and not cause, let's say, a distraction. I don't know what else to call that.
Sure. Well, I wondered too about the growth of the library. You know, I mean, we all know that you build a building and then you outgrow those buildings. And so any open space, you know, what could the future hold for it? That's something that we need to also look at. And that's, I guess, where I would ask you guys to think about future expansions or future programming. And I agree. I think it's the ideal place because it's going to get the most, you know, people
View.
that pass by it. We could put it at the township hall, but people don't go to the township hall unless they have business at the township hall. So, you know, it's
Well, we don't have a museum in Commerce, do we?
no.
Well, we talked a while back about maybe designating a little spot in the library for museum items. And
Yeah.
this was quite some time ago. And so if we wanted to at some point, you know, this would be a good start. But I think that putting a nice plexiglass, not cheap plexiglass,
Yes.
but like a nice casing with a nameplate with information professionally done, I think would look very nice. And that would kind of set the standard for when future items come. We would use that same glass, same nameplate so that it looked uniform for, you know, other artifacts that we want to show.
We would
that fall
definitely
under the
pick a
library to
case
pay for
that would
that?
complement it. We definitely
Yeah.
don't want to take away from it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want like a dirty, scratched up,
No.
you know.
Yeah.
I apologize. I was just, who would pay for that? Would that be under the library's funding that we had paid?
No, it's under parks. So it would be parks' responsibility.
I think it would be a better idea for Allison, or maybe she could ask a couple other people to help her and look around and see if she finds a decent place. I know before the library is built, I spent a lot of time with our other director to say we need a place for some of these things, but she told me no, it wasn't something that should be in the library. So
That's a former life. That's a former life.
So, yeah, so Emily and I do have tentative plans to walk through on Friday and
Good
to
idea.
see, because it's going to be a matter of finding the balance between like not shoving it in a corner where no one sees it, but also having it in a place where it can be safe. You know, if we are doing, you know, an enclosure for it, I think that's less of a concern, but you know, there's not a lot of permanent fixtures in the library, so we can be creative if we need to.
Well, why don't you two look at that, and then we discuss it again next month. Would that be appropriate? I don't think it's something that has to be done at this moment.
No, not
I
at all.
agree.
We just wanted to get some feedback. Obviously, we didn't just want to say,
Mhm.
hey, hi, we're the Commerce Township Parks Committee and we want to put this here. So
I think it's a
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah.
I like it. And I think
I
it's
do
great.
too, but it's one of those things you feel iffy about,
Yeah.
getting something
Protected, I
happen to
think.
it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Is that agreeable then with everybody
Yeah.
that we table this
Absolutely.
and bring
Yeah.
it back next month?
I look
Absolutely.
forward to
Yes.
hearing where it might go.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a motion on that to do this, to table it till next month?
I make a motion to table this until next month.
And I
Do we have a
second.
However you want to help me word that, that'd be fantastic.
Any more discussion on that? Okay, Cindy. All in
Wagner?
favor?
Okay,
Well-
Lackner,
Yes.
LaFond,
Yes,
Garbutt,
Yes,
Pernick,
Yes.
Magner,
Aye.
Hiscox,
Yes.
Sternberg is absent. Motion to table carried.
thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, guys.
Emily, thanks for coming.
Yep, thank you.
yeah.
Thanks, Emily. See you later. Okay, Vanessa, anything important
Oh,
from the town?
Barb.
Oh, yes,
We have our late edition, our remote electronic procedures
oh, I'm sorry.
that I sent. That's okay. It didn't make it onto the agenda for that reason. So this is just to comply with the Michigan Open Meetings Act, which was
Right.
amended recently. So unfortunately, we just got this. I just got this from the attorneys this morning. So if it's something that
Yeah,
you
really.
guys want to take your time to review and vote next month, I think that's okay.
I read it. It seemed rather lengthy.
Yeah.
Anybody
Yeah,
else
it would
want
probably be
Well,
best
I
if we
have
had
read
time
it. I
to
think
go
it's
over it.
pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Jason, do you have anything to
Yes.
say about that? Did you have a chance to look at it?
I reviewed it. The one thing that stuck out to me is that the form or the policy describes us as the library board. It's more accurate to say we're the library advisory board. And I think everywhere in the document where it refers to library board, it ought to refer to library advisory board.
I will ask them to change that.
That is relevant, yes.
Other than that, are there any other comments on that? I'm sure that Allison, do you want to take care of that and then let, I know that Betsy, Jason, and I have to sign that, so we'll need to wait until that is corrected.
Yes, I can get it updated. It's up to you guys if you want to vote on it tonight or if you wanted to wait until next month. Either way, I will get the change on the document.
Anybody?
I think I'd like to have more time to review it since I just got it today.
Okay, yeah, I thought
Okay.
that's fair.
All right, shall we also make a motion to table that till next month? Is that I think that's a appropriate thing to do?
You could do
Okay.
no action.
Oh, okay. Is that okay? No action? Okay.
And Barb, I just had one more thing before you go to Vanessa. I'm just going to share my screen real quick. It's the novel branch. I added just a couple pages of their brochure. And this is nothing that you guys need to make a decision on tonight. Let's see here. Can I share my screen? Hopefully you guys can see that. Just something to think about for the future. I sat in on a demo of this a couple of months ago, and it's been something I've been thinking about. So I just wanted to put it in your mind for the future. So this is essentially a book vending machine, and it works using the RFID technology that we already have inside our items. So those are the security tags that go in our books. So this could go in a school, this could go in a senior living facility, this could go at the Richardson Center, it could go, you know, at the Township Hall. It does need to be inside, so it can be something that's set outside the building. Essentially what someone would do is they would go up to the machine, they would scan their card, they'd put in their PIN and they'd open the door and they would pick out whatever books that they want for that from the inside of it. And when they do that, the machine knows what books have been removed and it checks it out onto their card. So I was thinking about this as a nice way to be able to reach out to some of the patrons who we don't see here. If it was, at the Township Hall, for example, it might be something that people could stop by on their way home if they're not coming all the way here to the library just to get things. But I just wanted to bring that up to you guys, just as something to think about for the future. I would love for it to go somewhere like Westlake or First and Main, where, if those people aren't able to drive, it's a little bit harder for them to kind of engage with the library. But there's a lot of things that we'd have to consider if we were to do something like this. We either would need to reimburse staff for mileage, or we would need to have a vehicle. Obviously there would be staff time in terms of packing up books and reloading it and keeping the materials fresh. So those cost, the quote that I got was $28,500. And then if we order them with our consortium, if they're ordering 4 or more, there's a discount. So I don't think it's something to do in COVID time, but I do think it's something to think about for the future, and kind of a way to grow our library's footprint without, opening an actual branch where that had to be staffed.
Mhm.
Allison, where do they return the books? I mean, do you return it to the same machine, or does it be returned back to the library?
You can return it to the machine. Because when you put it back on to the shelf, it knows that it's been returned. So that is an option. You could have I think in the brochure, there's a photo where they have a separate book return next to it. So you could have that as well. I mean, if you're already having staff reloading the one, they could empty the other. So there's a couple of options in terms of that, but yeah, that would be a concern for sure.
Okay, good.
Anybody else want to talk about that?
I was just wondering, Allison, so is it a one-time purchase, $28,000, and that's it? Or is
Yeah.
there a monthly maintenance fee?
I think there is a small annual fee. I'll have to double check on it.
Seems
but-
like that seems decently priced, I think, for just a one-time
Exactly.
fee. So
Yeah, and I think you could do a lot with it. It doesn't, it would depend on where it would go in terms of, the capacity that you wanted. I believe the brochure says it holds 125 books, and has 5 shelves, but I know that it's a little bit customizable because obviously not every book is the same width. So you could fit a lot more, picture books in there. And it could take, you could put DVDs in there, you could put other items in there as well. But yeah, I was, when I went to the demo, I was expecting it to be a bit more expensive. There are book vending machines that are a lot heftier, that hold more, they can be outside. But this one is offered directly through our vendor, the Library Corporation, which is where we get our integrated library system from. So it would sync really well with our existing systems. And I do think, it might be something to look at in the future.
it can't go outside. In my brain, I was thinking it would be like near the entrance of the Township Hall. So it can't.
Yeah,
go.
so it would have to be like in the vestibule between the 2 doors.
Okay.
Or, Vanessa, I was thinking it might be something if we could, if that substation comes to be, if we could have a little area there, that was accessible 24 hours a day, that would be so cool. Be really nice for the people who, who work really late and, or go to work really early and can't see us in their normal routine. So that's all I had with that.
Okay, anybody
Thank you,
else?
Proceed.
Okay. Okay, Vanessa, you want to tell us anything about the township that we should know?
Sure. Yeah, we've met a couple times this month. I have some sad news. I don't know if you guys heard, but our DDA director, Mark Stacy, passed away, tragically. And So last night we recommended appointment of Deb Watson, who has been the DDA assistant, to be the interim director for at least 90 days. Those of you that don't know, the DDA actually appoints the director. So we just did a recommendation. She's fantastic and has been with the DDA for quite some time. So it seemed like a good fit. So it's definitely a heartbreak though for all of us, because he he did some good things. Somebody said, and it made perfect sense that he had a lot of complaints about the DDA at first, but he actually did something about it and made it a better place. So I always like when people have an issue and they actually work towards the solution, and he definitely did. So other than that, kind of cool. We have a subcommittee that now started reviewing all the township owned properties. Surprisingly, we had no idea how much property we actually owned. So we looked at there's like 160 something pieces that we own, and they're kind of sorting it out and coming up with a strategic plan as to which ones we want to keep. Do we, are we going to sell some off? And like small lots, like we own random lots and subdivisions that are attached to other homes that have just been, deeded to us over the years through taxes and in certain ways like that. So, so we're starting to talk, strategic with that piece. And another thing, we did partner up with White Lake, and we are putting in a traffic barrier on Cascade Street. That's near Cooley Lake Road, right there at the T. So
Wow, gas station.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. They have a lot of situations with drivers trying to cut through the light, and has caused some potential hazardous situations. So we're partnering up with White Lake and using tri-party funds, and gonna put a barricade there, hopefully solve that problem. But other than that, it's just been same business.
I will tell you a little story. I don't know, this is a library business, but many, many years ago, there is a plot of property that the township owns right off of Carroll Lake Road.
Yes.
And we all went over there to look at that, and that homeowner came over and was trying to chase us. That's not your property. You have no right to be on it. So they have taken over a lot of the property, probably in other places that belong to the township.
Yes, that is definitely going to be a part of this process. Yes.
It was many, many years ago. I've been around a long time.
Well, the parks too. I mean, the parks are going to be, they deal with that too. That's a lot of that is the encroachment on the parks. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we're working on it. It's going to be a big project, but it needs to be done.
I think
It sounds
so.
like you've got a few vegetable plots along there, I think.
Yeah. We're going to be busy.
I don't think we have any recommendations for the township board this evening. Anybody? No. Under other matters, I would like to bring up, last month I did say to you, and you agreed that it would be all right to send a note to Judy that we had missed her. It is now 12 months that we have not seen her. And I had absolutely no response from her at all. And I have heard that she has a lot of health issues. And so I don't know how we go about handling that. If she doesn't respond and it's been this long, maybe we need to figure out something to do to replace her. I don't know that would be appropriate or not. So I don't know if anybody has any ideas on that.
Well, unless you offer her the opportunity of resigning, maybe it's the first thing to do, perhaps. In view she may be unable to carry on doing it, for instance.
Anybody else?
That's
guess
what I
we
was
need-
going to suggest. We got to loop the supervisor in, since he usually makes the appointments and handles that piece. But maybe he can reach out to her or Barb. I don't know who most appropriately should reach out to her. And then,
Barb, I can try. I have not tried to communicate with her in quite some time, but I can try.
Yeah, Betsy's been the person who's spoken to her the most when she has not been able to come. So would that be a good start, at least for Betsy to
think
see
so.
how she's doing?
Yes, I will try and do that.
Okay, let us, you can send Allison a note or me or all of us, whatever
Okay.
seems to be appropriate.
Okay,
I'll let
Okay.
Supervisor Gray know what's going on.
Yeah, okay, that would be good. Thank you. Do we have any other matters that anyone like to bring up? Okay, boy, that was a quickie. Would someone like to move to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Barry.
All right, Cindy, go for it.
Lackner,
Yes.
Hiscox,
Yes.
Garbett,
Yes.
Pernick,
Yes.
LaFond,
yes.
Magner,
yes.
Sternberg
Well,
is
thank you all.
absent.
That's very nice. Quick meeting. They are much quicker than when we meet in person.